suche immer on a time.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of York, the 26th largest Rotary Club in the world, and a club dedicated to imagining and living out the Rotary motto of service above self. I am Glenn Miller, the club president. Our opening song today, God Bless America, and the Pledge of Allegiance, will be led by Cal Weary, who will take to and leave the dais without incident today. Correct? Too late. Our invocation will be led by past District Governor Dick Brown, and our visitors and visiting Rotarians will be introduced by Lynn Morrison. Please take a moment to silence your electronic devices.
President, please join me. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a little tete-a-tete from time to time. Please pray in the way you are accustomed. Almighty God, through your Holy Spirit, you created unity in the midst of diversity. We acknowledge that human diversity is an expression of your manifold love for your creation. At times, in our brokenness as human beings, we turn diversity into a source of alienation, injustice, oppression, and wounding. Empower us as Rotarians to recognize and celebrate differences, your great gift to the human family. Enable us to be the architects of understanding, of respect, and of love. We thank you for the nourishment you have provided to our bodies this day, and for those who have provided it for us. Amen.
I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. Guests, when I read your name, please stand and stay at your place until President Glenn has a chance to welcome you. First, we have Michael Fedor, a guest of our speaker. John Trey Williams, a guest of Kelly Gibson. Doug Keith, guest of Leanne Wilson. Bob Farrell, guest of past President Di Hershey. Dwight Utz, guest of past President Rob Bowen. Suli Pinos, guest of Kevin Schreiber, also a guest of Kevin Schreiber, Chris Thomas. And Jamie Orr, also a guest of Kevin Schreiber. Eric Lawrence, guest of Tom Caltagirone. Jamie Keener, guest of Scott Thomasy. And Eugene Di Pasquale, guest of Tom Donnelly.
Thank you, Lynn. Friends, we are delighted to welcome you to the Rotary Club of York today. I hope that you will enjoy our program as well as the fellowship of the dedicated and diverse members of this club that surround you at these tables. I hope that you'll visit with us again and perhaps even consider joining our ranks. Rotarians, help me welcome our guests. Please be seated. My congratulations to everybody who chose to sit in the front of the room today. It is delightful to know that sometimes on rare occasion, I ask people to do something and they do it. So well done. Thank you very much. The prayers and the sympathy of the club go out to Rotarian Glenn Spinello at the death of his father this past week. The RCI Board of Directors will meet on June the 8th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The IDEA Committee will meet on June the 12th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The Fellowship Committee will be hosting a wine tasting at Mark and Val Wines in downtown York on Wednesday, the 21st of June from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Tastings will include samples of their wines and an assortment of cheeses. Who doesn't like that? The cost is $30. Please RSVP by Wednesday, the 14th of June to past President Rob Bowen. Finally, a somewhat unique announcement today. Jen May recently brought something to Lynn and my's attention that we thought was worth sharing with you. One of her neighbors recently posted a picture on a neighborhood app saying that they were looking for a guy in a red shirt. Now, if you saw this photo, you might assume that they were warning the neighborhood about the guy in the red shirt, but you would be wrong. The guy in the red shirt had actually warned the occupants of a home in the neighborhood that was on fire outside the home, and then tried to put it out along with a shirtless runner who also came to help. The owner of the home posted the following note online. We are forever grateful to the guy in the red shirt and the shirtless runner. Rumor has it the runner saw smoke on his run at John Rudy and came to investigate. Not sure where the man in red came from, but we are so thankful for you both. My mother had just left and my husband wouldn't have been home for an hour. My disabled dad was home with my daughter and teenage son, but they would have never known until it might have been too late. Somehow our mulch caught fire on the side of the house, which resulted in a gasket or something melting, causing a gas leak. My mom had barely left 20 minutes before those two men responded to the smoke. I am so thankful God had them where they were. Scares me to think what would have happened had more time lapsed. Thank you, red responder and shirtless soldier. Well, one of those two heroes, as you probably noticed, was our own Phil Woods. Phil, I don't have an award for you today. Where is Phil? Where are you? Phil, I don't have an award for you today per se, but that was certainly a service above self moment embodied, and we are grateful to you and we applaud you, literally. Yeah, here. And also remember, there are cameras everywhere. You cannot escape. And now Leanne Wilson gets to follow that, lucky you, with a public service announcement from PPE. Leanne.
I might do okay to follow that because I'm excited about what I'm presenting today. In 2017 and 18, Kelly Gibson, Wilda Alessi, and Chad Myers, along with others, had bestowed upon me the title and a crown as the conference queen. While I am no longer in the realm of planning conferences, it occurred to me that I've entered a new realm. Over the past year, I have become the Rotary Club of York's collection queen. While I'm bestowing the title upon myself, I am confident that the PPE committee would agree, and I'm happy to dust off my crown. As the collection queen, I hereby declare next Wednesday, June 14th, in the year 2023, to be the first ever double collection day. In May, we celebrated our 500th plastic bag collected, and I dare share that one fine Rotarian brought the most unique gift. You may say it's a type of royal throne, a used toilet seat. Whereas CRDC takes all plastics, we accepted the gift with enthusiasm. Be it in a green bag or a clear new or one of the new clear bags, we encourage all Rotarians to join in our efforts to reduce plastic waste. And as good citizens of the world, you know that electronics cannot be simply tossed into the trash. There are fine materials and toxic waste that we do not want in our environment. In the next week, scour your homes for the electronics that you have amassed. This includes laptops, computer towers, computer monitors, phones, Kindles, cords, and keyboards. Do not bring TVs or large items. The fair maiden Reese Neff of Omega E-Cycles will be in our midst next week if you wish to discuss a free business pickup. We will convene our collection on the second lower lot at 11:30 next Wednesday. If you must arrive early, please pile your bags or electronics along the wood barrier. In conclusion, there is no need to curtsy in my presence. I remain at your service and am a queen of action. Please ask me any questions and remember to bring your plastics and electronics next week. Thank you.
All right, you did follow that really well. Very, very good. As a fundraiser and a pastor, I'm usually the one about collections. But I'm happy to relinquish that to you, Leanne, and thank you to the PPE committee for this important work. And now, one of the major things going on in this month of June across the nation is Pride Month, which is being observed rightly in many organizations in our midst, in Rotary International and here in our community. The IDEA committee provided the slides that you saw running during lunch. And here to speak about Pride today is past President Brian Tate. Brian.
Thank you, President Glenn. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Happy Pride Month, everyone. I'm speaking to you all today about the significance of Pride Month in our community and in our country. The concept of Pride Month began more than 50 years ago, following uprisings after a police raid at the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in Lower Manhattan in New York City on June 18, 1969, when gay people stood up to police intimidation and brutality. I know as good citizens, we've all been taught to respect law enforcement and cooperate with the police. However, we've seen in our world that there are times to stand up for yourself and others when being subjected to intimidation and abuse by law enforcement. What began as marches to commemorate Stonewall, protest, harassment, and what began as marches to commemorate Stonewall, protest, harassment, and achieve equal justice and equal opportunity have transformed over time to celebrate diversity and inclusion of members of the LGBTQ+ community. Across the country, LGBTQ+ community members, allies, family, and friends gather at Pride celebrations to appreciate diversity and encourage inclusion in all aspects of civic life. And for those who may want to participate locally, York County Pride is being celebrated this weekend at the York Expo Center. So why do I celebrate Pride Month? For several reasons. I'm proud that in 1993, then York City Mayor Bill Otthouse proposed to City Council the expansion of the York City Human Relations Ordinance to include sexual orientation and shared that message across the country as president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. That was a pretty big deal. I'm proud to be celebrating my 10th wedding anniversary to my husband this year, celebrating both our legal wedding in Baltimore and our church wedding here in York in 2013. And I'm proud that 2 years later, on June 26, 2015, our U.S. Supreme Court, with a majority opinion written by Reagan-nominated Justice Anthony Kennedy, ruled the fundamental right to marry for all couples across the United States, affirming the marriage of my husband and me. I'm proud that an out gay man can be a contributing member of a community like ours, including being president of Rotary Club of York. I'm proud that an out gay person in York is accepted to participate in civic life, and that York County Republicans and Democrats elected an out gay person to countywide office. And as York County Register of Wills, I'm proud that gay couples can marry and no longer pay ridiculous inheritance taxes and keep that which is rightfully theirs, like their opposite sex counterparts have always had the privilege of doing. So as a lifelong Yorker, I'm proud to support everyone in our community who contributes, volunteers, steps up, and helps to make York great, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Thank you, friends, and happy Pride Month.
Brian, thank you for your willingness to speak on this today, for your openness with us as a trusted friend and fellow Rotarian, and for embodying why our acceptance of one another in all of our rich and varied diversity matters. It matters as Rotarians, and it matters just as being good humans. Thank you again, Brian, very much. And now Rotarian Kevin Schreiber will introduce our speaker and our program for the day. Kevin.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Afternoon, Rotarians. Hope everyone's doing quite well today. We have a lot of reasons, in addition to Pride Month, very well done, Brian, to be proud today. And we are very proud that we are joined by Dr. Fedrizzi-Williams of Central Penn College. Dr. Fedrizzi, will invite her up here momentarily, but just to give everyone a very quick little background on Central Penn College, if you are unfamiliar, it proudly traces its roots back to 1881. It is located on a 58-acre campus up in Dauphin County, not too far away from here. Central Penn offers a variety of associate's, bachelor's, and graduate degrees, and its impact on our economy, on our workforce is quite considerable, and I think it will interest many of our employers and education advocates here in this room. Educational affordability, access, and alumni employability are essential ingredients to the culture of Central Penn College. Uniquely, Central Penn offers an accelerated 11-week term and year-round schedules that enable students to complete a bachelor's degree in 3 years if they go full-time during those terms. And as Lynn mentioned, we have one of those students joining us today, Jaime Orr, and many in the room probably know Jaime's father, Tony Orr, who is an institution in our community and has cut probably some of our hair. And as I joked with Jaime, he's been waiting to get his hands on mine, and someday I'll oblige. But Jaime will be graduating this October, so with a business admin major. So please get his contact information, and someone in this room hire this young man in a few short months. So a couple other additional numbers with respect to Central Penn College. It boasts a 15-to-1 student to teacher ratio. 88% of the graduates are employed within their chosen field or continuing their education within 1 year of commencement. 41% of Central Penn students identify as BIPOC. 90% of alums stay local, living within 100 miles of campus, and nearly all alums are still within Pennsylvania. Central Penn pulls from Central Pennsylvania. About 21% of their students are coming from Dauphin County. About 18% of students are coming from Cumberland and Lancaster County. And 15% are coming from York County. And I have a suspicion that that's one of the reasons Dr. Fedrizzi-Williams is here today, to get more of those students. And I will commend her and her team, who have really been making great inroads here in this community and trying to ensure that more York Countyans are aware of the good work that's being done just north of here. And also uniquely, and perhaps she'll discuss, 3% of their students are coming from Philadelphia as well. In June of 2018, Dr. Linda Fedrizzi-Williams became Central Penn's 10th college president. Prior to her appointment, she served as interim co-president for 9 months and as vice president for academic affairs and provost beginning back in 2016. During her time as president, Dr. Fedrizzi artfully navigated COVID-19 pandemic. She strengthened the college's financial position despite the very universally challenging times for higher education and our economy. She's developed innovative new programs and certificates to help meet the needs of our local workforce and enhance student resources through new public and private revenue partnerships. She's implemented a multifaceted strategic plan for the college and continues to enhance and expand academics, athletics, and the college atmosphere. She's very focused on student needs, and she has led the creation of a centralized Center for Student Success a streamlined textbook buying process. I wish we had that when I was at YCP. No knock against YCP. And added student access to a convenient 24/7 mental health care services on campus. She's also brought 24/7 food service to students on campus and addressed systemic concerns about college affordability by having Central Penn pioneer a free housing scholarship to students in good academic and judicial standing. Dr. Fedrizzi-Williams earned her doctorate in education from Benedictine University and a master's and a bachelor's from Marist College and an associate's from SUNY Orange. She has a host of accolades, all of which are publicly available on their website and her bio. A couple that certainly stand out and we should be proud of here in Central PA. Dr. Fedrizzi-Williams was named one of the top 20 leaders in career education by National Career Education Review in 2022. And in 2021 was chosen as a Women of Influence by Central Penn Business Journal. And probably most importantly, I will share a little bit of the getting to know you lightning round questions that I sprung on her as she walked in today. Her favorite summer destination is really any beach. And she did say Outer Banks is probably preferred, but she's been spending a lot of time in Rehoboth with family. Her guilty pleasure food is pizza. We can all relate. Guilty pleasure dessert, anything chocolate. My wife would agree. Sports team is painful for me to say. She's a Giants fan. Eagles are better. And favorite adult beverage is either red or white, depending on the day. And she and her husband have currently binge watched Ted Lasso. Don't spoil it. Haven't seen the last one yet. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me. Help me welcome Dr. Fedrizzi-Williams.
Thanks so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I was going to shout out some of our Central Penn guests as Kevin did. Jaime is one of our students. He actually met Kevin and is now interning for him. Dwight Utz, who many of you might know from being the president of People's Bank, is our board chair and surprised me by showing up today. So that was not expected. And Michael Fedor is our vice president for advancement. Today, really, I want to tell you about our incredible college, talk to you about our students, and really get into some of the trends in higher education and what we've all been dealing with as an industry since the COVID-19 pandemic. I'll tell you a little bit about Central Penn's response to some of those challenges, and then some ways that you can partner with us. So as Kevin mentioned, we're not a typical college. So we operate year-round, and by year-round, we are every 11 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And the whole reason that we do that is because the majority of students attending our school work while attending. And I'll show you some of those statistics. So they want a degree as fast as possible. So they can get certificates in as little as 9 months, associates in a year and a half, and a bachelor's degree in 3 years. We were founded in 1881. A father and son were successful businessmen and wanted to teach other people how to be successful businessmen and women. So many of you might have been familiar with the Central Pennsylvania Business School, which is a lot of people still think that's who we are. We've been a college for a long time since then, and we have a lot more programs that I'll talk to you about. But the family that owned that college went through some different iterations, and we were founded in downtown Harrisburg. That's where we actually started and moved across the river to Somerdale in 1970. So that's where we currently reside, and we do have a residential campus as well. What's very unique about our college is that in 1984, the Milano family, who owned the college at that time, decided to give employees 49% shares in the organization. So they created an ESOP. And then when Todd retired in 2012 and the first non-family member became president, they sold those shares. So we are the only college in the United States that is 100% employee owned, which is very interesting and unique. So all of the employees and former employees are the only ones that own shares in the success of the institution. And we still have an independent board of directors. It's just they just own shares in the actual trust. So our degree programs, as Kevin mentioned, certificates, associates, bachelor's, and a master's degree, probably our most enrolled programs at this time are our allied health programs. So even though we were founded as business, we have a lot of students enrolling in medical assisting, surgical technology, in PTA and OTA programs, because there's just such a tremendous need in the healthcare industry. And because we are career focused, we make sure that every one of our programs leads to a job. So even though 88% are enrolled within or in a job within 1 year of graduating in their field, 97% of our students are employed within 1 year of graduating. And the way that these programs are designed is that because we have so many adults attending, every program ladders into another one. So we introduced certificates during the pandemic because what we were finding was that a lot of people that were working wanted to upskill or have a different job, or they wanted something they could do quickly. A bachelor's degree, even in 3 years, seemed like a really long time. So we rolled out 26 different programs, and these are all 18 credit certificates. And anyone who finishes that certificate can transfer into one of our associates programs. And then if you finish your associates, that directly transfers into a bachelor's degree program, which all transfer into our master's program. We design them intentionally because one of the biggest things that prevents people from going to college is just wondering if they can do it. And so you build that self-efficacy and that confidence at every step in the way, which lets people know you can do this and you can continue to study while you go to school. This is one of my favorite slides because we get to talk about our students here. So 55% of our students take classes on our Summerdale campus, and 41% are completely online. They still live locally though. We're a regional college, so the majority of our students do live within 100 miles of Central Penn College, which is very interesting. We still have a Lancaster Center, but we're actually closing those doors in September. And that's because it was always a completion center, only open in the evenings. And when the pandemic hit, so many people realized they could take classes online and didn't have to come in person. So it no longer made financial sense to keep that open. So all of those students have either graduated or they're being enrolled in one of our online programs. Some other numbers, 80% of our students are part-time, meaning that they're taking under 9 credits. And the reason that is so significant is because the vast majority of our students, those part-time students, are adults. So even though we have a residential population, which comprises about 20%, 80% are people already working. They're already in full-time jobs, and they're trying to either move on to something different or be promoted within. And you can see some of the stats about our students. So yes, 15% are actually from York County, which is really exciting. And now an update on our diversity numbers, 50% of our students are students of color. That is a very high number. That is higher than most historically Black colleges and universities. It's the highest in our area. And for context, HAC, Harrisburg Area Community College, only has about 23% diversity. So we are really proud of that number. And there's a lot of work that goes into engaging our students of color that we've had to add at the college, which I'll talk about. 58% have some prior college experience. A lot of our students started somewhere else and came to us, or they have some level of a degree and wanted to upskill. 93% work at least part-time. That's even our residential students. These are people that are putting themselves through college, being able to work while going so that they can afford to come to us. 50% have children, so they're family people. The average family income of our students is $49,000. That's their family's total income, which is coming in, which is why you can understand how affordability is such a major piece of what we do at the college. And the number under it is even more staggering. So 60% of our students have what's called a 0 EFC. That's an estimated family contribution. So when people have children, a lot of them start investing in a savings plan for their children. So by the time they go to college, there's money. The average American family saves $14,000 for their child to attend college. Even at community colleges, the average family saves about $10,000. 60% of our students do not have anyone that has saved for them to go to school. It's not because they don't want to, it's because they're earning $49,000 a year. So making the college affordable has been critical. And I wanted to share this with you. I hope you can see it, and I'm happy to share these slides. The affordability of institutions in our area, and this is for cost to attend per year, tuition, fees, room, and board. And keep in mind, for Central Penn College, that's for 4 terms. So you're talking about 48 credits. So our college for the year is about $27,000 for 48 credits. And that's because we do have an affordable housing scholarship. That's a $24,000 value. Because we had apartments and suites on campus that the college fully owned, we didn't have any debt on them. It was an unused asset. We know our students needed more scholarships. We created this affordable housing scholarship so that any student who wants to live on our college campus has the ability to do so. For some of our students, it's the first time in their life that they have a room of their own because they have single bedrooms. So it's a significant thing that we're able to add with resources that we have. So the other schools that are listed, we're closest to the state schools in terms of tuition, but for them, that's 30 credits. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the challenges. Higher ed has been under a lot of stress, and it's been tough for everyone in higher education. The numbers for enrollment I'll share with you. I'm going to share with you sort of across the board. But what's unique about us, because we are an ESOP, we are not eligible for any state or federal funding. So during the pandemic, when other colleges were receiving money during the higher ed relief funds, anywhere from 14 million was the average private college gift in the third round. There were 4 rounds. The gifts for HAC received 43 million in the third round, and Penn State University received 83 million in the third round. Central Penn received, Michael and I like to say, 0 million. We didn't get anything. And it has been an intense struggle for us because we had the same enrollment challenges, and we didn't close as an institution. We stayed open during the pandemic, and we allowed students to live and move back on campus as early as July of 2020. So it's been a particularly difficult time. And the main thing that's been tough is enrollment is just down everywhere. People are questioning the value of education and if it's even needed anymore to get a good job or to continue. So the average 4-year institution saw a loss of about 14% over the last 2 years. This just came out yesterday. The PA state schools are down 12%, which is a lot for them. Community colleges down about 25%. We're also down 25%. And that's because if you look at that student demographic that I showed you, our students are very similar to students attending community colleges. They're working adults that have families that are putting themselves through school. So the main reason people are questioning whether or not there's value, and you can see on this chart, it's hard to see, but enrollment was already going down prior to the pandemic. The pandemic just really blew it out of the water. And the biggest reason is people are questioning, why learn when you can earn? I can get a job that pays me a higher salary than maybe being a medical assistant does. And so entry-level positions suddenly have these much higher salaries, and a large reason, and I'm sure many of you in here faced it, we face it at the college. We've loosened a little bit of the expectations and requirements for jobs out of desperation to get people in the doors in positions. And we have to pay a lot more to those people. So our adult students who are earning $49,000 a year and putting themselves through school are saying, this is not worth it for me right now. So that's the number that's dropping out at the highest rates. Also, there's a question about the value of education. It's become very political, which is an unusual thing. You think that's sort of the neutralizer, and it's not. It's become political. And where people used to believe that you went to school and then you went to college and you got a good job, that's changed. So this article that came out in Inside Higher Education last month, in 2019, 89% of people said if you go to college, they believe it will help you in landing a job. It's down to 63% in just a few years. So that's some of the challenges we're facing. So here's some of the things that we've done. Very first thing is we are career responsive. Because we are a small private institution, we have on average around 1,000 students. We are able to move quickly. So when organizations tell us they need some kind of training or they need some kind of skills, we're able to respond. During the pandemic, we had a lot of calls from dentists in dire need of hygienists, dental assistants. I'm sure if any of you have tried to make an appointment, you are waiting a long time. If you have to cancel that 6-month appointment you set up, you're going to wait probably 9 more months. So after meeting with multiple dentists, we were able to put together some programs for dental assisting, which start this summer, for EFTA, which is Enhanced Function Dental Assistant, and we're starting a dental hygienist program. Those are things we're able to do in a year, which might take other institutions up to 3 years. We have rapid reskilling, where we're able to create modules for organizations. And we have a lot of intentional employee engagement, because when you're seeing those higher ed numbers and your employees are ESOP participants. So think about if you had to share with your employees all of the details of your financials at every town hall, it's going to scare them, right? So we have been very transparent about our financial challenges. We've had to make some tough decisions. We had to close a $2 million gap in our budget, which we were able to do through holding positions, outsourcing some departments, but it came at a level of transparency with our employees to say, this is what we're doing. This is why we have to do it. And it's important that institutions like ours are around for a long time. We have town halls. I've conducted stay interviews. Have you all done stay interviews? Have you heard of that? So you do exit interviews when people are leaving to find out why they're leaving. So I wouldn't want to say it's a waste of time, but it's not helping you retain employees. So a stay interview is basically holding an exit interview before people leave. So I sit down with the department. What's your favorite part about your job? What do you look forward to the most when you come to work every day? And then what is your biggest challenge? What is it that gives you the biggest headache? When's the last time you thought about leaving our college, and what prompted it? And why did you stay? So I did that with every employee over the last 6 months, learned some things from that. And yes, that is an employee holding a baby kangaroo. We do a lot of employee morale building, and we bring in animals, and we have stress days on campus where there's puppies there that they can hold and play with. So a lot of intentional ways to try to keep our employees engaged. One of the most exciting things that came out of our strategic plan, and we truly launched during the pandemic, was something called our Center for Workforce Excellence. And this is where we partner with organizations and find out, what do these organizations need for their employees? If you had to hire some people out of desperation, what is it that you need to do to get them to be effective in your businesses? So the Giant Company was one of the first that we did this with 2 years ago. And essentially their philosophy is they want to take an entry-level person, and they want that person to stay with the Giant Company through retirement. And the way to do that is to invest in those employees. So if they had a person who was excellent working in the deli, who they were now going to promote to be the manager of the deli department, they have no management skills. They're a great person to work in the deli as an employee, but they don't know how to be a manager. So we created a management certificate for the Giant Company that's specific to their employees, that takes their employees through 18 credits, and it is college-bearing credits so that they can transfer that certificate into any associates at our college when they want to. So those are some of the companies that we've been working with. UPMC has been a tremendous partner of ours, Penn State Health, Members First, and you can see some of the other ones on there. So another trend, the one population that is growing in higher ed is the most underserved population. It's the students that we serve. Dwight Utz is, I'm going to talk about you now. See, you showed up without telling me. This is what's going to happen. So Dwight was a student in high school who was told he'd never go to college. Shouldn't even try to go to college. His grades weren't that good. He was a B or a C student. So why bother? And you know, he had the mentality to say, I'm going to prove this person wrong, and was recruited to come to Central Penn College and has been the president of multiple banks, right? So a lot of our students are told, you're never going to go to college. We're the only student in Cumberland County or the only college in Cumberland County that accepts students with a 2.0 GPA or higher. And that's intentional. You know, we're bringing students in that want to go to school, and they want more than the associate's degree that they can get at a community college. They want a bachelor's degree. And so we make that happen. But then there is a lot that you have to have in supports for students. So one of the challenge, you have students that are first generation, probably first in their family. My entire cabinet, my leadership team, we are all first generation college students. And I make that intentional too. My parents were immigrants from Italy. I know what it's like to struggle. I put myself through school. Same with every one of my cabinet members. And I want that in the forefront of their mind so they remind themselves that they were the students that we serve. So when you have that, you have a difficult transition. A lot of our students are struggling with housing and food insecurity. That is very real at our institution. and they want to learn differently. So some of the things that we have done, the Affordable Housing Scholarship has been life-changing. It's had students that are on our campus that had to commute back and forth from a distance that now can live there. And all they have to do is maintain a 2.0 GPA and stay out of behavioral trouble. And we don't kick them out if they get into trouble. It's a learning experience. You have one term, let's get you back on track. But we've also had to double the scholarships that we give. We've doubled the amount over the last 3 years from what we used to award. We established a food pantry on campus. And it originally started just by donations from our faculty and staff. And we hold drives every quarter where we ask for people to submit donations. And we were just designated a hunger-free campus by the Pennsylvania Department of Ed. So we were able to receive a grant. We're going to have fresh food for our students too, which is really exciting. We also have a career closet. And I'm telling you this in case you do clear out your closets. Maybe your sizes have changed for the better or the worse. But if you need to get rid of your suits, professional clothing, men's shoes, we are always in dire need of men's dress shoes, belts. We have a career closet where any of our students can go at any time and be able to find clothing that fits them. So when they're showing up for their internships and their job interviews, they're showing up in professional attire. We have emergency student funds to help with anytime they're running out of money, college and the high school, and some intrusive advising models. And then finally, we had a focus on partnerships because we didn't receive the state grants or the federal grants, and we have athletic teams on our campus. We had to find a way to be able to provide the college experience that we could while doing it on our own. And so we did talk and we found some new partners. Our home field for our baseball team is F&B Field in Harrisburg. It's the Senators' home field. So now our men's baseball team gets to play on City Island. And in 1 year, we doubled our roster from 20 baseball players to 40 baseball players. And they won the championship this year, which is really exciting. And it's really helped with their confidence. Same thing, we met with the city of Harrisburg. So Skyline Sports Complex is the home of our men's and women's soccer team. Giant Company and UPMC have been tremendous. So UPMC had a dire need for surgical technicians. Those are the people that support the surgeons in the operating room. And they couldn't find people. So we developed the program, but they said, you know what we'll do? We will hire anyone that graduates from that program and passes the exam, and then we'll pay their tuition back once they've worked with UPMC for 2 years. So the students that are going through the surgical tech program, which is just a diploma or an associate, so under 1.5 years, have their entire tuition paid for within 2 years. And that's the kind of creativity that we're doing to make college more affordable for our students. And we finally have a focus on government relations and getting out more in the community, like things that we're doing here so that people know a little bit more about us. So ways that you can partner with our college. We are very focused on experiential learning. That's just hands-on learning. So if you have an organization and you're donating anything, maybe you're changing your newsroom and you want to get rid of the desk and our nightly news media club could use it, we'll take those donations. Don't throw those out. Corporate education, if you're interested in our Center for Workforce Excellence or you're thinking about any kind of education for your employees, whether it's a day-long seminar, a non-credit, or you want something for college credits, you could reach out to us. We're always looking for food pantry donations, whether that's financial or if it's actual items that you have. Career closet, as I said, next time you clear that out, we will take your clothes. And always donations for scholarships. That's probably our largest fundamental need that we have, is to make college more affordable for our students. And there's plenty of naming rights to do that as well, especially if you belong to an organization and you want to sponsor. If you're a healthcare organization and you want to sponsor our surgical lab, we'll ask UPMC first because of their deal. But other than that, there's plenty of other healthcare spaces on campus that we're happy to work with. This is my contact information. I'd love to meet with any of you or to get you on our campus to give a tour and maybe introduce you to some of our students. And at this time, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. Yes.
I'm going to start off with executive privilege because I have the mic. Thank you. Looking to the future, what sort of impact do you expect artificial intelligence to have on the community, on the college, and what is the college doing to prepare for that?
Yeah, that's a really big question, and it has our faculty very scared, I will tell you. So this Chat GPT, if you've seen it at all, you see what it can write and what it can do. There are other softwares that can do a search for those types of things. That chat bot is making it increasingly difficult, but with online education, people had the same types of fears. So there's proctor's exams online, but it is something that's going to remain a challenge. I don't know that we've quite figured out how to get around it yet, to be completely honest with you. Yeah.
Do your students qualify for student loans of any sort?
Yeah, so the question, I forgot, I'm supposed to repeat the questions, right, Glenn? Do students qualify for financial loans? They do. So we are accredited through the Middle States Commission on Higher Education, same one that accredits all the colleges locally, which enables our students to receive federal money. And they do. But the problem is because 58% are transferring credits from other institutions, they've used a lot of that financial aid before they even get to us. So they exhaust that. So they have enough financial aid to get them through portions of their scholarship or portions of their studies, but they run out of money. So a lot of them, a lot of the struggle comes their senior year, which is not what we want to happen. The point is to get them to graduate and to get jobs.
Quick question. I know if individuals wanted to contribute financially and support, you do have, obviously as an ESOP, you're not a charitable organization, but wanted to raise the
Yes.
question of the foundation.
So we do have an education foundation, which is a 501c3 organization. It's separate from the college. Thank you, Kevin. That's a great question. The question was about how people can donate since we are an ESOP. The Education Foundation accepts donations, and because there is no one owner of the institution and the shares are split among employees and former employees, the foundation can accept donations. So financial contributions can be awarded in the form of scholarship, anything that is an educational opportunity. So if it's a sponsorship of a program, if it's for student athletics, we can accept donations for that. Thank you.
Okay, the question from online.
Oh, okay.
The cost of higher education has outstripped inflation for many years, leading to an increasing number of students and parents to question the value of higher education. What federal policy changes would you like to see help address this change or challenge?
Well, what's really interesting as an ESOP is that we're held to different federal standards as other institutions. We have to demonstrate that our students that come to Central Penn College have to get a job. So basically, every single program we have has to lead to employment. That is not the case at every institution. And not only is it not the case, private institutions and state institutions do not have to show those numbers. Only for-profits or employee-owned colleges have to show those numbers. So I would love if every college that I put on that screen had to do the same level of research that we did, which is to show that when students borrow all of that money, that they are guaranteed to have a job afterwards. And that's really what they're looking at. And the federal government did just promote, they just put forward a brand new bill that is to look at gainful employment. That's what gainful employment is, which you may have heard that before, but it's still not for every college. And what you have to do is you have to look at, college debt. It's not bad if you have a degree, so you have to finish, and if you have a job to pay it back. It's one of the best kinds of debt that you can have. But if you don't graduate, and if you don't have a job that supports the cost of that enormous degree, then it really does become a problem. So I'd say be equitable across all sectors of higher education.
Can you discuss your for-profit status and distribution of dividends to shareholders, your policies around making a profit, and how that squares philosophically with focusing on students in need?
Yeah, so the college hasn't made a profit in probably a decade. So that's number one. Everyone thinks when you have a for-profit that it's something that everyone's making money. The college only distributes shares. And and you're right, there is a delicate balance. That's why you have an independent board of directors whose sole responsibility is only to the students and the college as an entity. They're the ones that control the governance. So the employees do not have a say in terms of the direction of the college. The employees are awarded shares, and I think of it almost like a retirement system or a pension. You get a distribution of the success of the institution, but you also lose money in those shares during the years where it is lean. And so the way that it works is every employee after 1 year of employment is considered a vested employee, and they're distributed a certain amount of shares per year based on how many are retired. And once that employee has been there for 5 years, they can start to pull their shares or sell their shares back to the institution. We have changed some of those bylaws for the ESOP, because essentially what was happening is that regardless of how well the college was performing, any former employee who wanted to cash them out could cash them all out at once. And the college was having to pay $1 to $2 million a year to former employees. When we're struggling to keep our doors open, creating affordable housing scholarships to have our students on campus. So we did try to go through a nonprofit conversion process. It's actually why I came to Central Penn. I was hired as the vice president for academic affairs, and I wrote the accreditation for middle states. We received approval from middle states. We received approval from the state of Pennsylvania. We even got tentative approval by the federal government, and we couldn't get the financing secured. And it was devastating. It took us 5 years to get through that process because all of the employees who are shareholders petitioned the board because they wanted to be a nonprofit. We are not in it for us. You don't get into higher ed to make money. There is an inherent conflict, 100%. The problem is when you are 100% ESOP, by the way, this is way more info than I plan to share with you. This is why no college in the United States is 100% ESOP, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the employees that are there. We would have to pay out every shareholder all at once in order to become a nonprofit. So even though everyone agreed that we function more as a nonprofit, we couldn't secure the financing to do it. And we were within striking reach, and it was devastating. So we regrouped and said, well, then what do we do? How do we make it more affordable? We started awarding more scholarships, and it's offsetting the cost of the ESOP contribution. You're welcome. Thanks so much.
Dr. Fedrizzi, thank you very, very much for being with us today. This is a club and York is a community that deeply values the role that higher education plays in our world. And we are grateful for the contributions that your institution makes as partners with us, York College and at Penn State York and the other higher ed institutions in the region. We are grateful to have you as a partner and for the segment of the community that you are serving that is extremely important to being served. Dr. Fedrizzi has signed the book plate in the book Different is Beautiful, tying in nicely to our theme today, written, you will recall, by Melanie Haiti, wife of Rotarian Michael Haiti, and it will be donated to the York JCC Child Care Program along with a bookmark that was created by students at Creative York. Next week, we will hear from Ashley Zimmerman, the Director of Development for the Northern Central Railway. The Northern Central is a small 501c3 located in New Freedom, founded in 2013 when Bill Simpson and Reed Anderson commissioned the construction of a replica of the 1880 steam locomotive. The NCR has added period passenger cars to provide an authentic experience on the rail line that took Abraham Lincoln to Gettysburg for his historic speech. Ashley will take us all aboard for a ride through the past 10 years and a view of what is coming as the Northern Central strives to fulfill its mission of being an economic engine for York County while providing a good time to multiple generations of riders. And our closing quote for today from John Lennon: imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. It was hard to speak that rather than sing it. Thank you all, everybody. Have a great day. This meeting stands adjourned.